Ambassador Samuel Harris had never expected to set foot on Galactic Council Station Alpha. Few humans had that privilege. Even fewer were summoned directly by the High Council itself. Sam stared out the viewport of the diplomatic shuttle as the massive structure came into view. The station was a marvel of engineering, a gleaming ring of metal and crystalline materials that housed representatives from over 300 civilizations across the known galaxy. At its center sat the council chamber, visible as a large dome that glowed with soft blue light. "Quite the sight, isn't it?" said Captain Lisa Morgan, joining him at the viewport. As the commander of the USV Constellation, Earth's flagship diplomatic vessel, she had been tasked with delivering Sam safely to the station. "I've only been here twice before. Still takes my breath away." Sam nodded, unable to tear his eyes away from the view. "I've seen the holograms, but this is..." He trailed off, shaking his head. "Different when you see it in person," Lisa finished. For him. The communication panel chirped and Lisa pressed a button to answer. "Captain Morgan." "Captain, this is Council Station Control. Please prepare for docking sequence. Ambassador Harris is expected in the main chamber in 2 standard hours." Sam felt his stomach tighten. 2 hours. In 2 hours, he would be standing before the most powerful governing body in the galaxy, trying to explain why humanity deserved a seat at their table. For centuries, humans had been dismissed as too young, too aggressive, too unpredictable to join the Council. But that was before the Krell invasion, before Earth's unlikely victory against one of the oldest and most feared species in the galaxy. Now the Council couldn't ignore humanity any longer. As the shuttle began its docking procedure, Sam reviewed the notes on his tablet one last time. Everything he had worked for during his 15 years in the diplomatic corps had led to this moment. He couldn't afford to fail. Lisa placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've got this, Sam. Just remember what Director Carter told us before we left. Earth, they may be older, but we're scrappier." Sam smiled despite his nerves. Director Jane Carter, head of Earth's Interstellar Relations Department, had a way with words. She had personally selected Sam for this mission, trusting him to represent humanity's interests even though many thought him too young and inexperienced for such a crucial task. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud, and Sam gathered his materials. As he prepared to disembark, Lisa handed him a small pin in the shape of Earth. "For luck," she said. "We'll be watching from the diplomatic gallery." Sam nodded gratefully and affixed the pin to his lapel. He stepped through the airlock and was greeted by a tall, blue-skinned alien with large, multifaceted eyes. "Ambassador Harris," the alien said, in perfectly accented English. "I am Zelthar, your liaison during your stay on Council Station Alpha. The Council awaits your address with great interest." Sam took a deep breath and squared his shoulders. "Lead the way." Zelthar walked quickly through the station's wide corridors. Sam tried not to stare at the many alien species they passed. Some looked almost human, while others were so strange that Sam couldn't even guess how their bodies worked. A group of floating jellyfish-like creatures drifted by, communicating through pulses of colored light. A tall being made entirely of what looked like living crystal nodded respectfully at Zelthar. "The station houses diplomats from all Council worlds," Zelthar explained, noticing Sam's interest. "Over 300 species currently hold seats on the Council. Humans would be the newest addition in over 50 years. "If they accept our petition," Sam said. "Yes, if." Zelthar's large eyes blinked in a pattern that Sam couldn't interpret. "Many are curious about your species. The defeat of the Krell was unexpected." Sam heard the unspoken question. Everyone in the galaxy wanted to know how humans had defeated the Krell when so many older, more advanced civilizations had failed. That information was Earth's most closely guarded secret. "We got lucky," Sam said simply. It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either. Zelthar led him to a small room with a window overlooking the main concourse of the station. "You have 90 minutes before your presentation. You may prepare here. Refreshments suitable for human consumption have been provided." Sam thanked the alien, who left with a fluid bow. Alone now, Sam sank into a chair and opened his tablet. The speech he had prepared suddenly seemed inadequate. How could he convince these ancient species that humanity deserved a place among them? A soft chime from his communicator interrupted his thoughts. It was a message from Director Carter. Remember, Sam, you're not asking for a favor. You're offering an alliance. Earth has proven its worth. Make them see that. Sam smiled. Jane Carter had been his mentor since he first joined the diplomatic course. She had seen potential in him when others had not. Her faith in him had never wavered, even when the president had questioned her choice of ambassador for this crucial mission. You need someone who can think on their feet, Jane had argued. Someone who understands both human interests and alien perspectives. Someone who won't back down when the pressure mounts. Sam hoped he was that person. He had studied every available text on council protocols and member species. He had prepared for every possible objection to humanity's petition. But in his heart, he knew that the council's decision would not be based solely on logic or rules. It would be based on their assessment of humanity itself, a species that had survived against all odds and now sought to join the galactic community not as a supplicant, but as an equal. The door chimed, announcing a visitor. Sam was surprised to see Captain Morgan enter the room. I thought you'd be with the rest of the delegation, he said. Lisa shook her head. I wanted to check on you first. How are you feeling? Nervous, Sam admitted. This is bigger than me, Lisa. This is about the future of our entire species. That's why you'll succeed, she said, sitting across from him. Because you understand what's at stake. The council is used to dealing with diplomats who care about politics and power. You care about people. Sam wasn't so sure that was an advantage. In the galaxy, humans were known for their emotions as much as for their tenacity. Many species saw emotion as a weakness, a primitive trait that evolved species should outgrow. Did you know, Lisa continued, that the betting pools on Earth are heavily in your favor? The public has confidence in you, even if you don't have it in yourself. Sam laughed. Great. More pressure. Not pressure. Support. Lisa's expression grew serious. We're all behind you, Sam. Not just the delegation, but everyone back home. After what we went through with the Krell, we need this. We need to know we're not alone out here. Sam nodded, understanding what she meant. The Krell invasion had changed humanity forever. It had united Earth in a way nothing else could have. But it had also shown humans how vulnerable they were in a galaxy full of older, more powerful species. A chime sounded from the wall panel. Ambassador Harris, Zelthar's voice announced. It is time to proceed to the council chamber. Sam stood, straightening his formal diplomatic uniform. The deep blue fabric was lined with subtle symbols representing Earth and its colonies. Unlike the ornate robes worn by many council species, the human diplomatic uniform was designed for function, as much as form, another reflection of humanity's practical nature. How do I look? He asked Lisa with a nervous smile. Like Earth's future, she replied, adjusting his earth pin slightly. Go make history. Sam nodded and walked to the door. In less than an hour, he would either secure humanity's place among the stars or fail in front of the most powerful assembly in the galaxy. The weight of that responsibility settled on his shoulders as he stepped into the corridor where Zelthar waited. I am ready, he told the alien, hoping it was true. Zelthar moved with fluid grace through the long hallway that led to the council chamber. Sam had to walk quickly to keep up with the alien's long strides. The walls around them were lined with holographic displays showing the histories and achievements of each council member species. Sam noticed that humans were not included in this gallery. The council has given you 15 minutes to present your case, Ambassador, Zelthar said. This is generous. Most petitioners are allowed only 10. Sam nodded, trying to calm his racing heart. I appreciate the consideration. I should warn you, Zelthar continued. The Arcavian delegation has raised several objections to humanity's petition. They are a powerful voice in the council. Sam had studied the Arcavians thoroughly. They were an old species with a vast empire, known for their conservative views and resistance to change. "I'm prepared for opposition," he said, though he wondered if that was true. "Indeed." Zelthar's tone gave away nothing of their own opinion on the matter. "Here we are." They had stopped before an enormous set of doors that seemed to be made of living metal. The surface shifted and flowed like mercury, but remained solid. Symbols representing each council member species moved across the surface of the doors in a constant, hypnotic pattern. "The Chamber of Voices," Zelthar announced with a hint of reverence. "Once you enter, you will be scanned. No weapons or unauthorized technology is permitted. Your translator implant has been cleared for use." Sam stood still as invisible sensors swept over his body. He felt a slight tingling sensation as the scan completed. The great doors parted silently, revealing the famous council chamber beyond. Sam had seen images of the chamber in briefing materials, but nothing had prepared him for the reality of it. The room was vast, a perfect circle with tiered seating rising up around a central platform. Each delegation had its own section, marked with the symbol of their species. Some sections held a single representative, while others contained entire groups. The ceiling above was a perfect recreation of the galaxy, stars and nebulae slowly rotating in real time. Sam could make out Earth's position, a tiny point of light far from the center of galactic power. "Ambassador Samuel Harris of Earth," a resonant voice announced, echoing throughout the chamber. "You may approach the speaker's circle." Sam walked forward, aware of hundreds of alien eyes watching his every move. The central platform, the speaker's circle, was bathed in soft light. As he stepped onto it, he felt a subtle force field surround him. It wasn't restraining, but it was definitely present, a reminder that he stood in judgment before the assembled might of galactic civilization. The High Counselor, a Medusan named Oren Val, looked down at Sam from the highest tier. The Medusans were one of the oldest species in the galaxy, with skin like polished blackstone and a crown of sensory tendrils that moved with a life of their own. "Ambassador Harris," Oren Val spoke, his deep voice seeming to resonate within Sam's mind rather than his ears. "You stand before this council to petition for humanity's inclusion among our ranks. This is a serious matter that will affect the balance of power throughout known space. Before you begin your prepared statement, I must ask, why now? Your species has barely ventured beyond your own star system. Why do you believe you are ready to join this ancient assembly?" Sam hadn't expected to be questioned before his presentation, but he knew that hesitation would be seen as weakness. "High Counselor, esteemed members of the council," he began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Humans ask why now, because the galaxy has already asked why us. When the Krell attacked our world without warning or reason, we were told we were too insignificant for council intervention. We were told our fate was sad but ultimately unimportant to galactic stability." A murmur ran through the chamber at his direct approach. The Arcavian delegation, easily identified by their bright red crests, shifted in their seats. "And yet," Sam continued, "we not only survived but won against an enemy this council had failed to stop. We did so through innovation, cooperation, and sacrifice. If humanity can face such a threat alone and survive, imagine what we might contribute as members of this council." The chamber fell silent, and Sam could feel the weight of hundreds of alien gazes upon him. He had their attention. Now he just had to make them listen. From the corner of his eye, Sam noticed a small delegation of insect-like aliens leaning forward with interest. These were the Vorn, an ancient species known for their logical thinking and scientific achievements. Their interest was a good sign. "Humanity brings unique perspectives to the galactic community," Sam continued. "Our adaptability, our creativity, our determination, these are valuable assets in a universe filled with challenges. We have developed technologies that approach problems from different angles than those used by council species." He activated a small projector on his wrist, displaying a hologram of Earth's latest starship design. Unlike the smooth, curved ships favored by most council species, Earth's vessels were angular, with multiple redundant systems and modular components that could be rapidly repaired or replaced. Our ships may not be as elegant as yours, Sam admitted, but they are practical, resilient, and constantly evolving. This is the human way. We learn, we adapt, we improve. We don't claim to be perfect. We only claim to be useful. A tall, willowy alien with pale blue skin and 4 arms raised a limb, indicating a desire to speak. This was a Thalasian, Sam recognized, from one of the more moderate council factions. Orenval nodded, giving permission. The council recognizes Delegate Zen of Thalasia. Ambassador Harris, the Thalasian's voice was musical, almost singing each word. Your words are compelling, but they raise concerns. If humans are so adaptable, so quick to change and evolve, how can the council trust that the humans of tomorrow will honor the agreements made by the humans of today? It was a fair question, and one Sam had prepared for. Delegate Zen, adaptability does not mean inconsistency. Humans understand the value of our word. Our adaptability lies in how we solve problems, not in whether we keep our promises. Throughout our history, even in our darkest times, treaties and alliances have been our foundation. We may argue among ourselves, passionately, even loudly, but once we commit to a path together, we follow it. The Thalasian seemed satisfied with this answer, settling back in their seat with a gentle nod. But before Sam could continue, another delegate rose, an Arcavian with an especially large red crest indicating high rank. The council recognizes Supreme Delegate Jared Vex of the Arcavian Dominion, Orenval announced. Ambassador, Vex began, his voice sharp with barely hidden contempt. Your species has existed for a mere eye blink in cosmic time. Most of us were exploring the stars when humans were still learning to make fire. What arrogance brings you here to claim equality with civilizations that have existed for millions of years? The challenge was direct, almost insulting. Sam noticed several delegates shifting uncomfortably at Vex's tone. This could work in his favor. The Arcavian's aggression might make other delegates more sympathetic to Earth. Supreme Delegate Vex, Sam replied calmly, age and wisdom are not always the same thing. Some of the greatest innovations in council space came from its younger members. The Thalasian quantum drives that power this very station were developed by a species younger than humanity. Vex's crest flared with irritation. Technology can be copied or stolen. Wisdom must be earned through millennia of experience. With respect, Sam countered. Wisdom can also become dogma if not refreshed by new perspectives. The Krell demonstrated this. They had existed for millions of years, yet their thinking became so rigid, so predictable, that a young species like humanity could anticipate their strategies and counter them effectively. This statement caused an even stronger reaction in the chamber. The defeat of the Krell was still a raw subject for many council species who had lost worlds to the ancient predators. The human makes an interesting point, rumbled a deep voice from the lower tiers. This came from a massive, rock-like being, a Krolozan, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. The Krell's downfall was indeed their inability to adapt to new circumstances. Perhaps there is value in fresh perspectives. Sam inclined his head, respectfully to the Krolozan. This was an unexpected ally. The stone giants rarely involved themselves in council politics. Jared Vex was not so easily swayed. Fresh perspectives are one thing. Recklessness is another. Humans defeated the Krell through dangerous technologies that they barely understand. Technologies that could threaten us all if mishandled. We understand our technologies better than you might think, Sam replied carefully. And we understand the responsibility that comes with them. That's why we seek council membership, to share knowledge, to learn from your experiences, and yes, to accept the oversight that comes with being part of a greater community. He looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. Humanity does not come before you as conquerors or as beggars. We come as potential partners, offering our strengths while acknowledging our limitations. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves worthy of the trust you place in all member species. High Counselor Orenval's sensory tendrils moved in a complex patty. Sam finished his formal presentation, explaining Earth's request to join the council. He had shown maps of human space, details of Earth's government, and examples of human technology. When he finished, the chamber was quiet for a moment. Then, the questions began. "The human speaks with surprising eloquence," said Delegate Kraz of the Vorn Collective, their insect-like mandibles clicking softly. "But words cannot hide the basic truth. Their species is barely 10,000 years old. Many of us were exploring the stars when humans were still discovering fire." Murmurs of agreement moved through the chamber. Sam had expected this argument. It was the most common objection to human advancement in galactic politics. "With respect, Delegate Kraz," Sam responded, "age is not the same as wisdom. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in council space came from its younger members. The Thalasian quantum drives that power. This very station were developed by a species younger than humanity." Before Kraz could respond, Jared Vex stood again. His red crest was fully extended, showing his anger. "Breakthrough?" Vex's voice was sharp with dislike. "Is that what humans call their habit of turning every technology into a weapon? Let us speak plainly. The human victory against the Krell was not achieved through talking or cultural exchange, but through devastating military force." Sam felt a flash of anger but kept his face calm. "The Krell gave us no choice but to defend ourselves. They refused all attempts to communicate." "A convenient story," Vex countered. "Yet we have only the humans' word for this. Perhaps the Krell saw the threat humanity posed to galactic peace and tried to contain it before it spread. After all, your species' history is full of conflict. You have fought wars against yourselves since before you left your atmosphere." This brought a stronger reaction from the assembly, with various delegates turning to talk with their advisors. Sam realized Vex had been preparing this attack for some time. "Delegate Vex speaks truth," added a Malosian representative, her clear skin glowing with patterns of light. "Humans are unpredictable. Their emotional responses override logic. How can such a species be trusted with the responsibilities of council membership?" Sam took a deep breath. He had anticipated these arguments, but the coordinated nature of the opposition suggested this was more than routine skepticism. Someone wanted humanity's petition to fail badly. "Councilors," Sam began, keeping his voice measured, "it's true that humanity's history includes conflict. We don't deny our past. But consider this. Every species represented here today has a history of violence. The difference is that most of you have had thousands or millions of years to outgrow those impulses. We've compressed that evolution into mere centuries." He paused, looking around the chamber, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. "As for unpredictability, yes, humans can be emotional. We feel deeply. We care passionately, but I would argue that this is not a weakness but a strength. Our emotions drive our creativity, our resilience, our determination to survive against impossible odds. When the Krell attacked Earth, they expected an easy victory. They didn't understand that humans fight hardest when cornered." A soft chirping sound indicated that Councillor Oren Val wished to speak. The chamber immediately fell silent. "Ambassador Harris, while your defense of human nature is spirited, it does not address the central concern of this council. Membership requires following the Galactic Accords, including the gradual reduction of planetary defense systems in favor of collective security. Given humanity's recent experience with the Krell, would your people truly be willing to trust their safety to this council?" It was a devastating question, targeting the core of human fear following the Krell attack. The council had refused to help then. Why would Earth ever trust them with its security now? Sam felt the weight of Earth's future on his shoulders. His answer to this question could determine humanity's place in the galaxy for generations to come. He thought carefully before speaking. "Hi, Counselor. You ask about trust. Trust must be earned on both sides. Earth is willing to gradually integrate into the collective security framework, but only with full transparency and equal participation in defense decisions." Vex made a dismissive gesture. "Impossible. No new member receives equal standing in security matters until they have proven themselves over centuries." "Perhaps," Sam conceded. But no new member has ever defeated a threat that the Council itself failed to contain. The Krell had destroyed 17 Council worlds before they reached Earth. We stopped them when no one else could. This statement caused visible discomfort among many delegates. It was a painful truth they preferred not to acknowledge. "And how exactly did you accomplish this feat?" asked a Dravidian scientist, her 6 eyes blinking with curiosity. The Krell ships were vastly superior to anything humans possessed. Sam hesitated. This was dangerous territory. Earth's leadership had debated extensively about how much to reveal about the technologies developed during the Krell War. "We adapted," Sam said carefully. "We studied their attack patterns. We observed weaknesses in their defenses. And yes, we developed new weapon systems specifically designed to counter their technology. Weapons you now refuse to share with the Council," Vex interjected. "Weapons we are cautious about sharing with anyone," Sam corrected, "including ourselves. The technologies developed during the Krell War are strictly controlled by an international oversight committee on Earth." A new voice joined the conversation. A Solarian, one of the energy beings who rarely participated in Council discussions. "The human speaks truth in this. Our observers on Earth confirm that their weapon technologies are indeed strictly regulated, more so than on many established Council worlds." Sam nodded gratefully to the glowing humanoid shape. The Solarians were respected for their neutrality and honesty. "The issue is not just about weapons," said an elderly Arcavian female, her crest smaller but her voice carrying authority. "It is about the human propensity for expansion. In the short time since defeating the Krell, they have established colonies on 3 new worlds and mining operations on 7 more. Their population growth rate exceeds that of any Council species." Sam had to admit this was true. After the devastation of the Krell War, humanity had embraced a policy of rapid expansion. "Never again all our eggs in one basket" had become Earth's unofficial motto. "Our expansion is motivated by security concerns, not territorial ambition," Sam explained. "The Krell War taught us the danger of having our entire population on a single world. Our colonies are about survival, not empire building." "So you say," the elderly Arcavian replied. "Yet history teaches that security concerns often evolve into territorial ambitions." A large whale-like being floating in a gravity suspension field rumbled in its deep voice. "What guarantees can Earth offer that it will abide by Council territorial regulations?" Sam recognized the being as a Movinid, one of the oldest and most respected Council species. "We are prepared to accept the standard border monitoring protocols," he answered. "Furthermore, we will submit all future colonization plans for Council review before implementation." This offer seemed to surprise many delegates. It went beyond what was typically expected of new members. "A generous concession," the Movinid acknowledged. "Yet I sense there are conditions attached." Sam smiled slightly. The Movinids were known for their perception. "Just one condition, that the review process be fair and timely. We cannot accept arbitrary delays designed to hinder human development." This was a direct reference to tactics the Arcavians had used against other emerging species in the past. Jared Vex's crest flared again. "You dare to dictate terms to the Council? This presumption alone demonstrates why humans are unready for membership." "Not dictating," Sam clarified calmly. "Negotiating, as equals." The chamber erupted in voices, some outraged, others intrigued. High Counselor Oren Val raised his hand for silence, and the room gradually quieted. "Ambassador Harris," Oren Val said, his voice neither approving nor condemning, "you present humanity's case with unusual directness. Most petitioning species approach the Council with greater deference." "With respect, High Counselor," Sam replied, "deference is appropriate. When asking for charity, we are proposing a partnership. Earth brings valuable assets to the Council. Our innovation, our resources, our unique perspective, and yes, our proven ability to defeat threats that others could not." He paused, aware that his next words would be controversial. "The galaxy is changing. The Krell retreat has created power vacuums in multiple sectors. New threats are emerging. The Council needs humanity as much as humanity needs the Council. The bold statement hung in the air like a challenge. Sam could feel the tension in the room rise. He had just crossed a line that few dared to cross, suggesting that the ancient, powerful Council needed anything from a young, emerging species. The delegates began talking among themselves, the volume in the chamber rising as opinions were shared and arguments made. Sam stood silently in the speaker's circle, waiting. He had made humanity's case as strongly as he could. Now it was up to the Council to respond. The chamber waited in tense silence for Sam's response to High Counselor Oren Val's question about trust. He could feel the weight of expectation from all sides, the hostility from the Arcavians, the curiosity from the neutral factions, and, somewhere in the diplomatic gallery, the hopes of Captain Lisa Morgan and the human delegation. High Counselor, Sam began carefully, your question gets to the heart of trust, and trust must be mutual. The Council asks if humanity will trust collective security after being abandoned to face the Krell alone. I must ask in return, will the Council trust humanity enough to acknowledge why you abandoned us? A ripple of discomfort moved through the chamber. Several delegates shifted in their seats. I have reviewed the classified reports that Director Carter obtained through diplomatic channels, Sam continued, activating his datapad and projecting a series of documents into the air before him. These are Council security assessments from the period immediately before the Krell invasion of Earth. They clearly show that the Council knew of the Krell's intentions 3 standard months before the attack. Outcry erupted across the chamber. The Arcavian delegation rose in protest, while several other species began talking rapidly among themselves. Counselor Oren Val struck a resonant tone that immediately silenced the chamber. These documents, if real, are classified at the highest level. How did your species obtain them? Not all Council species agreed with the decision to abandon Earth. Sam replied evenly. Some felt a moral duty to warn us even if they couldn't offer direct help. This is outrageous, Delegate Vex shouted. The human is admitting to spying against the Council. No, Sam countered. I'm admitting that humanity has friends here, even if they must work in secret. The truth is that Earth was sacrificed, not because we were unimportant, but because the Council believed we would fall quickly and reveal critical weaknesses in the Krell military strategy. We were to be the test case, the sacrificial planet whose death would provide data for the Council's eventual counterattack. The accusation hung in the air like a physical force. Many delegates looked away, unable to meet Sam's gaze. Ambassador, Oren Val spoke quietly. These are serious claims. They are documented facts, Sam replied. And yet despite this betrayal, I still stand before you advocating for humanity's membership, because unlike what you expected, we survived. We not only survived, we defeated the Krell so decisively that they have withdrawn from this quadrant of the galaxy entirely. Sam paused, letting the implications sink in. The Council needs humanity more than humanity needs the Council. The Krell retreat has created a power vacuum that many here are eager to fill. Earth sits at a strategic location that several expansionist powers have already expressed interest in. He didn't need to name the Arcavians directly. Everyone knew. They had been expanding their territory since the Krell defeat. We prefer cooperation to conflict, Sam continued. We prefer to join as equals rather than remain isolated. But make no mistake, Earth will never again be sacrificed for political convenience. So yes, High Counselor, humanity is prepared to gradually integrate with collective security, but only with full transparency and equal representation in security decisions. The chamber had gone completely silent, hundreds of alien species processing this unexpected turn of events. Sam had changed the narrative from whether humanity deserved membership to whether the Council deserved humanity's trust. An elderly Valeran, whose species was known for their long memory and uncompromising honesty, slowly rose from his seat. I served on the Security Council during the period in question, he said, his voice thin but clear. What the human says is true. A decision was made to observe the Krell attack on Earth rather than intervene. Gasps echoed through the chamber. For a council member to openly confirm such a damning accusation was unprecedented. It was not unanimous, the Valeran continued. My species voted against the decision, as did 7 others. We were overruled. Jared Vex's crest was now flat against his head, a sign of extreme agitation. This is ancient history. The current council cannot be held accountable for decisions made by our predecessors. Why not? Sam asked simply. You hold humanity accountable for its history. You judge us for conflicts that happened centuries before any living human was born. Yet you refuse accountability for decisions made within living memory? Decisions that resulted in the deaths of millions of humans? The Arcavian had no immediate response. In the gallery, Sam could see Captain Morgan watching with undisguised amazement. This was not how diplomatic petitions usually went. A Malosian delegate, her skin pulsing with patterns of light that indicated deep thought, addressed the High Counselor. These revelations are disturbing. If the Council abandoned Earth knowing the Krell were coming, how many other emerging worlds have we similarly sacrificed? That is not the issue before us today. Orenval replied, his voice tight. We are here to consider Earth's petition for membership. With respect, High Counselor, the Malosian countered. They are the same issue. If we accept humans as members, we acknowledge our past failures. We admit that the Council is not infallible. Some find that prospect uncomfortable. Sam watched as the dynamics in the chamber shifted. What had begun as humanity's evaluation was becoming an examination of the Council itself, its ethics, its accountability. The documents Ambassador Harris has shown us raise troubling questions, said a Krulazan delegate, his stone-like features impossible to read. But they also demonstrate why humans would be valuable Council members. They discovered our deception. They survived our betrayal. And rather than seeking revenge, they seek partnership. This shows unusual wisdom for such a young species. Or unusual cunning, Vex muttered, but his objection lacked its previous force. Sam decided to press his advantage. The classified reports also reveal something else, something even more significant. The Krell were not simply expanding their territory when they attacked Earth. They were searching for something. This caught the attention of the entire chamber. Even Vex leaned forward slightly. According to the Council's own intelligence, Sam continued, the Krell believed that Earth contained technology or knowledge from the predecessors. A hush fell over the chamber. The predecessors were the mysterious ancient species whose artifacts and technologies were still being discovered throughout the galaxy, despite their disappearance millions of years ago. This is speculation, the High Counselor said, but there was uncertainty in his voice. Is it? Sam asked. The Council's own archaeological surveys detected unusual energy patterns in Earth's solar system a decade before the Krell attack. Patterns consistent with predecessor technology. The Council kept this information from us, even as they debated whether to warn us about the coming Krell invasion. Sam opened another file on his datapad, projecting new images into the air. After defeating the Krell, we found these in their command ship. The images showed strange symbols and diagrams that were unmistakably similar to known predecessor artifacts. The Krell were searching for something they believed was hidden on or near Earth, something powerful enough that they committed a significant portion of their fleet to finding it, something the Council also seems interested in, given the surveillance satellites you've positioned at the edges of our solar system. More gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Sam had just revealed knowledge of covert Council operations that were supposed to be completely secret. How does he know this? Someone whispered loudly enough to be heard. The same way we know about the Krell, Sam answered the unseen speaker. We pay attention, we observe, we learn. These are human traits that have helped us survive, traits that would benefit the Council if you would only recognize our potential as allies, rather than seeing us as pawns. High Counselor Orenval's sensory tendrils were now completely still, a sign of intense concentration or stress. Ambassador Harris, you have given this Council much to consider. I suggest a recess before we continue these discussions. Sam nodded, knowing that the real deliberations would happen during this recess as delegations conferred and alliances shifted. He had revealed his strongest evidence, played his best cards. Now he could only wait and see how the Council would respond. As he stepped out of the speaker's circle, Captain Morgan met him at the chamber entrance, her eyes wide. "Sam, that was... I've never seen anything like it. You just accused the Council of willfully sacrificing Earth and then withholding information about predecessor tech. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Sam gave her a tired smile. "Changed. The game, I hope. They expected us to beg for membership. Instead, I've made them defend their right to judge us at all." Lisa shook her head in amazement. "Director Carter is going to either promote you or fire you. I'm not sure which." "Right now," Sam said, feeling the adrenaline drain from his system, "I just need some water and a moment to think. The real battle is just beginning." After a tense 1-hour recess, Sam returned to the speaker's circle. The council chamber was now completely full. News of his accusations had spread throughout the station, drawing delegates who normally skipped petition hearings. For what felt like forever, no one spoke. The council chamber, usually filled with the quiet sounds of hundreds of different species, breathing devices, translator machines, the rustling of various bodies moving in seats, was completely silent. Sam stood, in the speaker's circle, back straight, eyes forward. He had said his piece. He had revealed the Council's secret actions and stated humanity's position from a place of strength, rather than weakness. Now he waited for their response. The silence stretched on, becoming almost unbearable. Some delegates looked shocked, others thoughtful. The Arcavian delegation sat stiffly, their crests flattened in what Sam recognized as a sign of extreme anger. Finally, High Counselor Oren Val rose from his seat. His sensory tendrils were perfectly still, a Medusan expression of deep seriousness. "In 10,000 cycles of this council's existence," he began, his voice soft yet carrying to every corner of the vast chamber, "I have never witnessed such an address. Ambassador Harris speaks not as someone asking for favor, but as an equal. More troubling, he speaks truth that many here hoped would remain buried in classified archives." Oren Val descended from his elevated position, a move that caused a wave of surprised murmurs to break the silence. He approached the speaker's circle until he stood just outside its boundary, looking directly at Sam. The Council did indeed know of the Krell's intentions. The Council did indeed choose to observe rather than intervene. These decisions were made before my time as High Counselor, but they were made nevertheless. Gasps and exclamations echoed around the chamber. For the leader of the Council to openly admit such a moral failure was unheard of. What the ambassador has not revealed, perhaps because he does not know, is that the decision was far from unanimous. Many species, including my own, argued strongly for intervention. We were overruled by a coalition led by interests who no longer sit on this council, because they too fell to the Krell in the years that followed. Oren Val turned to address the entire assembly. The human victory against the Krell was not merely unexpected, it was thought impossible. A species so young with technology so limited facing an enemy that had conquered civilizations far more advanced. The predictions gave humanity less than a 1% chance of survival. He turned back to Sam. "And yet here you stand. Your world is rebuilding. Your ships now travel farther and faster than before the invasion. Your weapons..." He paused. "Your weapons concern many here, as they were reverse-engineered from Krell technology that even the Council had failed to fully understand." Sam remained silent, neither confirming nor denying this assessment. "Ambassador Harris has not come to beg for admission," Oren Val continued. "He has come to offer humanity's partnership, and to warn of humanity's resolve, should that partnership be rejected. This is not the approach outlined in our protocols for species petitioning for membership." For the first time, a slight smile appeared on the High Counselor's face. "But then, humanity has rarely followed expected protocols." He raised his long arms, addressing the entire Council. "I move that we suspend the standard petition process. Humanity's case is unique and requires unique consideration. I propose the formation of a special committee to establish new protocols for integrating species who have demonstrated exceptional capabilities despite their evolutionary youth." The Arcavian delegation immediately began to protest, but they were drowned out by a wave of voices supporting the High Counselor's proposal. Something unprecedented was happening in the council chamber. a fundamental shift in how the galactic community viewed humanity. Jared Vex pushed his way to a speaking position. This is outrageous. The human has admitted to obtaining classified council documents through espionage. He has revealed the existence of covert council operations. These are not the actions of a potential member. These are the actions of a potential enemy, or of a species that refuses to be kept in the dark about matters that affect its survival, countered the elderly Valeran who had earlier confirmed Sam's accusations. The humans did what any of us would do. They gathered intelligence to protect themselves. And they defeated the Krell with that intelligence, added a Dravidian delegate, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence. A feat that none of us could accomplish. With all our advanced technology. The chamber erupted into heated debate. Sam watched as alliances formed and shifted in real time. The Arcavians and their traditional allies stood firm in opposition, but they were increasingly isolated as more delegations moved to support the High Counselor's proposal. After several minutes of debate, Oren Val raised his hand for silence. It is clear that this matter cannot be resolved through our standard procedures. I therefore invoke the High Counselor's privilege of executive assessment. A hush fell over the chamber. The executive assessment was rarely used, a special power that allowed the High Counselor to make unilateral decisions in extraordinary circumstances. Humanity's petition will neither be accepted nor rejected today, Oren Val announced. Instead, I propose a provisional alliance status to last for a period of 5 standard years. During this time, Earth will have observer status in the Council and will participate in selected committees, particularly those dealing with security and technological exchange. He turned to Sam. In return, we ask that humanity share with us their understanding of the Krell technology they have acquired and any information they have regarding predecessor artifacts in their solar system. The proposal was clever, Sam realized. It gave humanity a foot in the door without forcing the Council to immediately accept them as full members. It also gave the Council access to the technology and information they desperately wanted, while allowing them to observe humans more closely before making a final decision. I accept this proposal in principle, Sam replied carefully, subject to specific terms regarding the technological exchange and the exact nature of our participation in Council affairs. Oren Val nodded. Those details can be negotiated by the special committee I mentioned. What matters today is the principle that after centuries of considering humanity too primitive for notice, the Council now recognizes your species as a significant galactic power with whom we seek formal alliance. These words sent another shockwave through the chamber. Never before had the Council so openly acknowledged a non-member species as a significant galactic power. Jared Vex made one final attempt to block the proposal. The Arcavian Dominion formally objects to this unprecedented deviation from Council protocols. The human has manipulated this assembly through shock and accusation rather than following proper diplomatic channels. Your objection is noted, Delegate Vex, Oren Val replied calmly. However, as you well know, the executive assessment cannot be overruled except by a 3/4 vote of the full Council. Vex looked around the chamber, clearly calculating whether he could gather enough support for such a vote. After a moment, his crest drooped slightly. He knew he did not have the numbers. This is not over, Vex said to Sam, his voice low but carrying in the now quiet chamber. The Arcavian Dominion will be watching humanity very closely. As humanity will be watching the Dominion, Sam replied evenly. That is the nature of diplomacy, between equals. Vex's eyes narrowed at the implied challenge, but he said nothing more as he returned to his seat. High Counselor Oren Val addressed the chamber one final time. The Council will recess until tomorrow, when we will begin the process of establishing the Special Committee on Human-Council Relations. Ambassador Harris, you and your delegation are invited to submit names for consideration as committee members. With that, the historic session ended. As Sam stepped out of the speaker's circle, he was immediately surrounded by delegates from various species, all eager to establish contact with humanity's representative. In the diplomatic gallery, he could see Captain Morgan talking excitedly into her communicator. no doubt reporting the unexpected outcome to Director Carter back on Earth. Sam felt a mix of exhaustion and elation. He had come to the Council prepared to argue for humanity's worth, only to end up challenging the Council's own moral authority. It was a risky strategy that could have backfired spectacularly. Instead, it had forced the Council to acknowledge humanity as an equal rather than a supplicant. As he made his way through the crowd of delegates, Sam caught sight of Zelthar watching from a distance, those large, multifaceted eyes unreadable. "You have changed things today, Ambassador," Zelthar said quietly when Sam approached. "For better or worse, the relationship between humanity and the galactic community will never be the same." "That was the goal," Sam replied with a tired smile. "Earth deserves its place among the stars." "It has certainly claimed that place today," Zelthar observed. "One human voice has accomplished what many thought impossible. It silenced the entire council chamber." Sam looked back at the now empty speaker's circle, where he had stood alone before the assembled might of galactic civilization. "Not silenced," he corrected gently. "Merely made them listen."